what is it about these pilgrimages that activates something? There is something that, as Westerners, maybe we don't think of our spiritual life connected to our bodies. Again, as evangelicals, we typically have thought most of our spiritual lives are between our ears. Just thoughts.
Upheaval, or the rug being pulled under our feet, or those moments can actually be great gifts because you learn stuff, you work stuff out, and you discover what is true, which then allows you to bring that learning back into your real life. The fact that now when I find myself being lost, I go, oh, this is a chance for me to be found.
Welcome to the Follow-Up Podcast, a podcast that believes at its core the single most important oriented belief that if Jesus was right about God and life and the human soul, then it would make sense that we rearrange our lives around what he said is true. So that's what we're exploring. All that Jesus said was true and how to rearrange our lives around it. Steve Carter.
Hey, Parks.
What's up, brother?
Not much, man. It's good to
You
see you
good?
again. I'm good.
I'm good too. I've been eating lettuce a lot. I've been eating tree bark. That's what I've been doing. I've been eating tree bark and lettuce and beet salads.
Ugh, gross.
Oh, bro, trust me. I went to lunch with you. You had a cheeseburger.
I did. It was
Do
great.
you know like the amount of spiritual discipline it took to not curse you and hate you? I was like, I'm having a beet salad and you're having a cheeseburger.
That's right. That's right.
Man.
You'll live longer.
Maybe. I mean, you know, like we were in Italy. Me and a buddy took this little trip. It was a really beautiful trip. He had gone through a ton last spring, and I just want to get away. He needed some time, and so we're like, dude, what if we like rode motorcycles over from one side of Italy to the other? We got this super cheap ticket. Didn't have our motorcycle license, so we had to get like 125cc scooters, right? Which is not a motorcycle, by the way. For those of you that are listening who are motorcycle drivers like Carter, you're like, not a motorcycle. Anyway.
You guys are like Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, bro. It was, my back hurt for a week. I'm not joking because, I mean, you have to sit straight up. So imagine
Just getting flown by.
Oh, you could, and we were highways. At one point, I'm like, who is the idiot that planned this trip? And of course, the idiot was me.
What is it about pilgrimage?
Bro, there is something, right? I've said this on the podcast. I'm a 7 on the Enneagram. So if you were to say right now, hey, bro, do you want to fly to Italy? I'd be like, or anywhere? I mean, anywhere. Where do you want to go? I'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll go. Yeah, let's do that. I was thinking about this trip, and that it's our producer who was with me, and I'm like, man, we spent 7 days together, and all we did is talk. Like, that's what we did. Stood in the water, talked. Went to dinner, talked. I mean, you don't get that these days, right? Yeah. You know, we just don't get those these days. But there was something spiritual in there was something spiritual in driving those scooters across Italy because we didn't get run over. Yeah. I mean, just the fact that we did not get run over was nothing short of a minor miracle. But I don't know, Carter. We've had a lot of talk about, you know, spiritual formation, and I think we often reduce it down to just the ways in which we think, and that spiritual is ethereal, right? It's misty. But there is something to the physical movement on what we would call pilgrimage, right? Because you've experienced some of this, like pilgrimage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there were the 6 great feasts for the Jewish people, and they'd return to Jerusalem. Yeah. So no matter where you lived, that was kind of the expectation to head back. And I think there's something really, really powerful about that journey. And it's usually done in community. One, because it was safer, but 2, the connection, the talking, the processing. I think something just happens as we move. We're kind of thrust out of the daily routine
Yeah.
and into a different rhythm where we're all kind of like experiencing something new. Even if we had been to Italy before, you've never seen it from a 125cc scooter, and so it's just different. And I think you're at a different point in life, and the ongoing pilgrimage was like a mile marker of life, and a mile marker of the formation of those festivals. And I think we've gotten away with that. You see this in California and like where we live, where almost the creation of the missions, and so down the Camino de Real, or the Real Way, there were all of these missions that and people would make those treks, similar to like West Michigan, of people making the treks from harbor town to harbor town around the lake. We have our kind of variation of it, but I think when you can start to just work some stuff out.
Do your best to define really clearly, because we're probably got a lot of listeners that are like, wait a minute, pilgrimage. What is that? What are you talking about? Are you talking about a missions trip?
Yeah.
Are you talking about a vacation?
Yeah.
No, like, how would you define this for someone who doesn't have much rooting in, maybe a tradition like our Catholic brothers and sisters, or maybe even some of the mainline denominations, Episcopal churches, etc., that might have a little bit better understanding of that sort of spiritual practice? How would you help them understand it?
Well, each of the Jewish festivals had a specific theme. So if
Okay.
you take Yom Kippur, Leviticus 16, the Day of Atonement, it was the day where the communal sins of the people were placed on the scapegoat, and that goat was like released out, never to return, as well as the high priest would enter into the most holy place and scatter blood on the mercy seat, the cover of the Ark of the Covenant. This was a time for you to go back and be a part of the cleansing of the entire sins of your people. Yep. So I say that as like, if you lived 50 miles away, you would walk back and you would know that I'm walking with intention and with purpose to be reminded that the communal sins that I am a part of are cleansed.
Wow.
For the next year.
And it was you brought your body into it. You weren't just taught it.
Yeah. And part of that would be you processing. One of the things I love about the Jewish narrative of how they retell the Hebrew scriptures is we tell it as all the Hebrews people were enslaved in Egypt. Yeah. But if you listen to like a Jewish woman or man tell that story, they'll say, when we were enslaved in Egypt. They write themselves back into the stories. So even as they're on the pilgrimage, walking back is when like teaching their kids, what in this past year did you do that fell short of the heart of God? Oh, I did this, this, and this. And this day is why we head to the temple, to be reminded that we are okay before God, that God sees us and we are at one with God. So there was like an intention. Great pilgrimage is movement on purpose, where you're working something theologically, something emotionally, something mentally, something entrepreneurially, like through your body.
I love that.
And with community.
I love that. We see this idea of pilgrimage within the Jewish community, and we see it in the Christian community. Like you start seeing this 3rd, 4th century where people began to visit these sites around Jesus' birth, his life, his death, his resurrection, right? So like this is not just a Jewish tradition. It became a Christian tradition where we would go write ourselves in the story by being in these places. And the Camino, which is a journey that you've been on, and I can't wait for you to talk about it because I love this. This is something that literally millions of Christians have journeyed on. One of 6 routes, right? One of 6 routes.
Yeah.
I think it's
Many.
6, but it looks like a clam when you've walked it. So you walked this in 2024. I think
22, I think maybe 22.
Maybe it's
22, 23.
Yeah, you're right. It's 22.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk about your experience with this, and talk about it because most of our audience is probably evangelical, and this might be like a new concept. So tell me about your journey.
Yeah. So a couple thoughts. One is you're spot on. People would often head to Jerusalem to see where Christ was born, buried.
Via Dolorosa, go
exactly,
to Bethlehem,
all of that. In the early centuries, Jerusalem, like today, was very dangerous.
Yeah.
So the act of pilgrimage, though, was so important that they weren't going to walk into a difficult area. So the question being, well, where could we go? So St. James, who brought the gospel to Spain, the legend, the lore was that his bones were at this cathedral. And so people were like, and why you said the clam, or there's so many different routes, because people came from France, people came from Portugal, people came from like all these different ways to participate in the sacred act of walking with intention, with a purpose, to work out something spiritually, theologically, emotionally, mentally, blah, blah, blah. And so walking this, I did with 9 other friends, and your whole life is in a backpack. We stayed in hostels. It was about 125 miles we walked. We did the spiritual variant. So it's the coastal route, spiritual variant, which means you follow the actual path of, they believe, that St. James took to bring the gospel to Spain. And I was the only person from the Midwest. Everyone else was from the West Coast. Okay. So I was up 2 hours earlier than everybody else. And so 5 a.m., I'm like wide awake, and everyone else is still sleeping. And I just would get up and I would walk, and in the pitch black. And I knew where I was headed because all you're doing is following these, yellow arrows and these yellow shells.
Arrows, there are
shells.
Yep. And then as you walk through these towns, there are different places and points that you interact with.
Right.
People.
And so I would walk, and then you'd stop and you get a cup of coffee and journal and continue to walk. And it's almost like a little bit of like a lazy river. What I love about a lazy river is you might start with a group of people. Doesn't mean you're going to finish with that same group of people, but like other people start to come in, and they're like rolling with you for a little bit, and then they pull off and you keep going, and another group of people come. So cool. And I met every continent but Antarctica. I met someone from and walked with. And so you're just walking, and everyone just, when they saw you, they'd say Buen Camino, which means the good way. And you just start talking. And what brought you to the Camino? I had a death of a family member, and just trying to work that out. Oh, wow. Tell me more. What was it? And some of the most richest conversations, because, it's like as we're walking, we're like working out and processing. And so I would probably do anywhere from 12 miles to 18 miles a day. And then we would all end up at the hostel, and usually at like a dinner spot and a charcuterie board. And we'd just process what we heard and what we felt. One day I was walking, and again, your whole life is on your back. And people tell you when you pilgrimage, travel lightly, and you don't need as much as you think you do. And so just trying to learn.
I don't need like multiple pairs of sneakers?
No, you only need one pair, multiple pairs of socks, but you only need like one pair of shoes. But walking, I walked a long ways without seeing any yellow arrows and yellow shells. And I realized I'm on a freeway overpass. And I'm just walking, and all of a sudden this lady who's on the other side of the road, slowing down on the highway, just goes, "Are you looking for the Camino?" And I'm like, "Yes, I have no idea where I am." She's like, "You passed it." And I was like, "I thought I did." And she gives me directions. And I realized like what came up from me. I didn't have cell phone reception. I wasn't with my friends. I was lost, and I don't like to be lost. And as I'm processing this with the group of guys, I'll never forget my friend John Huckins just goes, "Steve, but if you never get lost, you can never be found." And I was like, oh my gosh. And I think so often part of our Western formation is in such certainty and prevention of ever feeling lost.
Oh, wow.
But then we don't allow ourselves to be found by the goodness of God. And that's when upheaval or the rug being pulled under our feet or those moments can actually be great gifts because you learn stuff, you work stuff out, and you discover what is true, which then allows you to bring that learning back into your real life. The fact that now when I find myself being lost, I go, oh, this is a chance for me to be found.
When you were talking about being lost, because I have had people say, now why would I do this? And I'm like, well, it's sort of like structured disorientation.
Yes, it's really good.
Right?
It's really good.
Right? Where you're like, okay, I don't know this route. I don't quite know the way. Now, there are signs and there are shells and there are pilgrims, but I think we underestimate the value of moving out of the familiar. And now look, as you know, I'll just say this. We don't believe that walking on this route makes you any more holy or brings you any closer to God. But what it does do, that structured disorientation does bring up different types of feelings. It really, I really do believe like it gives us, we ask different questions, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I see it. I'm like, it's like a structured disorientation.
If anyone are like, I'm not going to get off on a flight and fly to Portugal, totally get it. Totally get it. There's no pressure.
Well,
and like Eric says, like Eric says, you're not holier for doing that or not doing it. But I would say is I practiced in the mornings at 5 a.m. walking in the pitch black in our nature preserve. It was scary.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm like, all of a sudden, like coyotes are walking by me and I'm like, what in the world? Like you recognize, or when I was out in the desert and walking those trails and you'd hear like the rattles of a rattlesnake. You just, all of this stuff that a structured disorientation of walking with intention. It's just, there's something about it and it's hard. I think it's part of like the mystery of it. I think it's also why people have been doing it for centuries.
Literally
and
centuries.
It's been a forgotten, neglected practice. And I think part of it is because, especially in our world today, we're always on.
Yeah.
So now, and here's the other side. I didn't know where I was staying that night.
That's amazing. Say it. How would it work?
So basically, I had a goal. We had a goal of where we wanted to meet up.
Yep.
And we were on WhatsApp. But we didn't know if it was going to be pouring rain. So you didn't book because if you were off one day, you wouldn't be able to, you're in trouble and you've already booked all these rooms. So basically you're like, we're getting here. Weather seems good. We can get there. First person there made sure that they got the rooms for us all, but it was kind of like you were living in the moment. You stopped when you needed to stop. You journaled when you needed to journal. There was nothing that was like tyranny of the urgent. It was to be present to the moment and to be honest with what was coming up. And, outside of some key relationships and moments with spiritual directors or therapy, the act of pilgrimage was so good for my healing post 2018 to help me to where I am today.
Was this the first time that you walked the Camino?
First time walking Camino.
Did you have I know you talked about one of them, but did you have like one or two additional, like just ahas where either about the walk or something internally happened? Was there anything that you look back on even and go, man, um, this really shifted in me, changed in me?
Yeah, I mean, so part of the spiritual variant, you end up going up this massive hill, and you're probably still a day, 2 days journey from the cathedral that you're getting to. But on the top of this hill is a monastery with the Catholic Church. These nuns put on a service every night. And then you can go into this smaller cathedral that's just stunning, and just sit and silence. And so it was my birthday. I had heard someone say that between the ages of 38 and 43 are the hardest 5 years in a man's life.
Really?
Because you're moving from first half of life to second half of life.
Whoa.
You're moving from ambition to an elder. You're moving from a place of recognizing my body's changing. I'm not as far along as I thought I would be. You usually lose a parent during this time. There's just a lot of big questions
totally.
of having to come to reality. So on this date, on top of this hill, is my 43rd birthday. And I just remember sitting in this cathedral in silence, and I was really carrying the 5 people that I felt had wounded and hurt me, and was trying to work through what forgiveness looked like for them. And a few of them in particular were much harder for me to really like tap into without sadness or anger or the total grief, 5 stages of grief. And I remember having spent that whole day just thinking about this, walking up. It was pouring rain. I had like trash can made poncho, it's super minimalist, like just was brutal. Walking up like with my best friend Tommy, and then I find myself like in this service, and these nuns are leading it. I don't know anything that they're saying. I can't, but I'm connecting to something. And then I just go sit in silence. And then out of like my mouth, like the only words that I say are, I love you. And I name each of the 5 people. And I don't know if you ever had like a moment where like you say something out loud and you're like, what the, did I really say that?
Yep.
Because that's like the farthest thing pre-trip and farthest thing since 2018 that I had felt. And I could just, in that moment, I just broke down. And I just was like this, I don't know, it was like this shift, like something locked into, oh my gosh, like I made it to the other side of those 5 years. And like I forgave them. And I'm like, I can now head to the cathedral. And it just, from that moment, I just realized like I was traveling a lot lighter. I didn't need as much as I thought I did for the trek. And that's kind of like the gift of what you leave, that you've been carrying that you don't need to carry, that you thought you had to bring, you don't need to bring anymore. There's so many moments like that, or in so many moments of just watching my friends process through stuff or working stuff out with them, and watching them like, say something or ask a hard question, or just experience like joy or delight, or or them having to face their own grief or sadness. And it's just, you just realize like there's something mysteriously weighty about that act of pilgrimage. And I want to like be really intentional about it. And so, trying to add this more as a more regular. It can't be every year. I
Yeah,
wish I
right,
I had
right,
those resources, but
right.
I think it can be every few years.
Yeah, for sure.
And it can be waking up early and walking in the nature preserve, the 6
Absolutely.
miles, and just saying, getting my, I always will say 10K by 10A. You know, you're going to live longer, but like
So
you have that, you just have that moment of just working it out, so.
I wonder, and maybe I'll tell this story, but and when I come back from the story, maybe answer this question: what is it about the spiritual pilgrimage that brings about that? Because that story. There's a reason why people continue to bring their body into this space, but it's not an official pilgrimage. But our producer, he'll remember, Luke and I, we were in Vietnam, and so we were cruising out. It was a really funny day, where we went to the beach in Vietnam. We had been on a trip to Cambodia visiting a medical mission space, and we cruised over to Vietnam a couple of days before we left, and the beach was torn up, and we ended up renting little scooters again.
Of course.
And so we're cruising down the coast, and there's this. I think it's Our Lady of La Vang is the monument. We passed it, and it's a hill, and at the top of the hill is this statue. So of the statue of Mary and Jesus, right? And so we cruise down, and we turn around, we come back, and there's a Catholic monastery at the foot of this, and we're like, you know what? We should walk up that hill. And so me and Luke and Jeremy start up this hill. Well, first off, it was an optical illusion. We looked at it and we're like, oh yeah, we'll get up to the top of that, and it'll be, be a neat moment. We'll take a picture. Bro, it was 90 degrees.
Oh my gosh.
And we start trekking up this thing. All I know is, man, we're halfway up, and it's like you ever been on one of those where you're on a hike where you're like, okay, we're really close over this ridge, and you get to the ridge and you're like, oh, wait, there's another 3 ridges. That's what it felt like. We're just like, up, up. Jeremy didn't even make it. I don't mean to shame him. But however long it took, I'm beet red, sweating, and we get up to the very top, and we didn't even intend it necessarily to be spiritual. But you get up there, and your body, you're tired, and it wasn't 125 miles. But I remember like putting my arm around Luke, and we both took a knee and we prayed up in that space. It felt sacred. There is something that, as Westerners, maybe we don't think of our spiritual life connected to our bodies.
Yeah.
We just don't think about it that way.
Totally.
And I wonder, like, well, why? And secondly, what is it about these pilgrimages that activates something?
I think this is such a important conversation because it showcases our lack of good theology around the incarnation of Christ, connected to our, I'm not going to say hatred of our bodies, but definitely our shame of our bodies and shame of this world. Because so much of evangelicalism has been, get this ticket to escape here and go there. And which then makes it seem like everything here is bad.
Yeah.
And this is connected to the flesh. It's also true that Paul says, no, do you not know that your body's a temple of the Holy Spirit? So I think Jesus actually weeping, Jesus actually having margin in his day, Jesus actually praying, Jesus actually speaking to power, Jesus actually kind of inviting people into the kingdom, all of that, Jesus actually going to Jerusalem for Passover, pilgrimage, all of that showcases this temple, this body matters. And so I think when you start to be more incarnationally positive,
Mm,
um,
I like that phrase.
you find yourself kind of recognizing, oh, the body does keep score. The body does hold. The body is much stronger than we give it. The body has the ability to heal itself.
Mm.
Um, like even just the sense of the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic is like where we find ourselves getting uber stressed out,
Yep.
mouth breathing.
Yep.
Well, there's actually a beautiful piece. Like if you're going to work out, or I heard you run. If you're like starting before in the morning to run, to just do like 20 fast breaths in and out, just mouth breathing, will fire up your system to be able to run quicker and faster and longer. But also at the same time, you can just breathe with your nose, hold, release, breathe with your nose, hold,
That
release,
literally works, man.
and it will just
What's it called? Is it like circular breathing or
circular box breathing.
box breathing?
Yeah,
That's
but
it.
but in that, it's just like all of a sudden, and then you add like a verse to it, or a breath prayer to it, or something that you're holding on to. That I'm going to inhale those new mercies. I'm going to exhale this unforgiveness. In all of that stuff I learned at 40.
Right? Me too.
At 40. And so just imagine what that would have done in a moment of my childhood when there was a ton of moments of anxiety.
Yep.
And of course I would self-soothe in some capacity or escape, because all I was trying to do is regulate. But when you can actually go, hey, this temple actually, God created it in a way that I can tap into his presence. I can slow myself down. All of a sudden, it just, or working something through my body in the pilgrimage, or it just transforms the way you pray. It transforms the way you walk. It transforms the way you just um, stay connected and attuned to the presence of God. And so that for me has been a huge piece to it.
Well, and I think you're talking about something that, again, as evangelicals, we typically have thought most of our spiritual lives are between our ears.
Yeah.
Just thoughts.
Yep.
To introduce this idea of bringing our body into this, like, hey, and we know if you don't feel good physically, it does affect your spirit, your soul, right?
Yeah.
I love the way I was it was years and years ago. Someone, John Ortberg, was doing a session on formation, and someone asked him, "Hey, John, what's the soul?" And I'll always remember his answer. He said, "The soul, I believe, is, imagine it like the sticky substance that sticks your body and your mind and your spirit together. That the body isn't outside like a kicked out. No, this is part of you." And I think that's a beautiful thing to introduce into formation, this idea that, look, to your point, you can't go to walk the Camino or go to Israel or walk to Via Dolorosa. That may not be something you can do often, right?
Yep.
But there are practices that we engage our body in that are part of formation. That it is true. We bring our bodies into these spaces. And I think that's, look, every time that I do practice any form of pilgrimage, whether that be, I haven't walked the Camino, but we're going to walk the Camino. It's coming. It's coming. It sticks with me for such a long time, because think about the reverse. If the body keeps the score, and we think about that negatively in trauma, wouldn't that be also true
100%.
of the other side?
100%.
Wouldn't it be true? Like, if we tuck these things, it gets into the fibers of our being, right? When we begin to include this into us, that goodness, that truth, the Holy Spirit. I just think it's such a neat, not just neat and useful, important part of our formation.
I love what you said about the soul in that Ortberg piece, because the soul integrates
Integrates. I
heart,
love that's
heart,
yes.
mind, and body. But what does sin do? Sin disintegrates. And we've all had those moments, right? Where, you know, you're saying something and I totally disagree with you inside, but like my head is like nodding. Um, and yet my body's going, or my heart's pumping and there's anxiousness. And I'm nodding, but like it's just not all fully
Wow.
present and fully integrated. And that's part of when you talk about, hey, everyone can pilgrimage.
Yeah.
The pilgrimage is the movement towards the good way.
Oh,
and the
yeah.
good way is walking in like
Sure.
presence and healthy, like this is how the Shema begins. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is God, the Lord is one. When we are integrated, we are one, heart, mind, body, soul. When sin gets in, if the enemy can disintegrate us and have us at odds with ourselves, we'll never show up fully present to another.
Yeah.
We'll never be a part of the restoration of all things. We'll never be able to actually see ourselves the way God sees us. And so part of that, for me, is oftentimes on those walks is just checking in. What's my heart feeling right now? Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, guard your heart. And if I think about that word guard, I think about, someone like Pat Bev. You don't want it. You don't want him on. You want him on your team. You don't want to play against him. But like someone, we guard our Facebook, we guard our Chase, we bank account, we guard our social security number. We don't guard our heart. And if everything flows from that, okay, my mind.
Wow.
What am I letting land in my brain? All of that toxic negativity that you were talking about, all that shame, like, how am I just carrying all of this in my body? Yeah. And the more that you can just tap into it and speak for it instead of from it, the healthier, the more whole, the more presence you'll be able to offer to not just yourself, but to those that matter around you.
How then do we put our feet on the bottom of the pool on this one? Because, and that phrase is going to stick, because, I think it's easy to hear this and go, oh, well, when I go to Spain, I'll do that. And I was just thinking about, a few ways that we could think about pilgrimage, not just walking the Camino, but I liked what you said about this is the good way. And the truth is, you can practice the good way with your body just through an intentional walk, right? Through an intentional walk. What are other ways that you would say, hey, maybe it's an intentional walk where we're doing something where we slow ourselves down, breathe differently? Are there other things you can think of that brings pilgrimage into more of a daily context?
Let's look at this. In the past week, think about something where you didn't show up fully present. And it might have been to your spouse, might have been to your kids, might have been to someone in your congregation, might have been to an opportunity that you just you were nervous or scared, whatever that is. Okay, so think about that with no shade and no shame, because that's not helpful to any sense of formation. All right? But with profound levels of curiosity, approach that and ask yourself, what was going on? What was it like? Heart, mind, body, soul. Were they integrated? Was I tired? Like, did I get enough rest? Part of the body. Was there more defensive?ness? Like I was just like wanting to win a fight, or that's more mental. Is it more like heart, desire, will? Is there something there? So I just will like spend, and I do this typically every Sunday night or every Monday, just looking at the past week. From there, you play it back. Now what I want you to do is I want you to play it out. Put yourself in that same situation, knowing what you know right now. And now think about it from the lens of if the main job of a disciple, like we've talked about, is to follow, is to be with Christ. Or, as preachers, we're always taught to keep the main thing, but Jesus taught to keep the remain thing the main thing. Like if our job is to remain, and you're remaining close to him, how would he do it? In that same situation, how would he, if he's living from a place of abundance, John 10:10, how would he handle that same situation? And play that out with him. And now you play it back, you play it out. And now what you're kind of doing is you're visualizing, because the enemy's smart. If you know he got you once, he's going to try and do it again. Yeah, but now you actually have thought through a way, a good way, a better way, a healthier way, a more whole way. And then typically we'll just say, you've also got to always commit to playing it honest. So, most guys are like, how are you doing? Good. Be really honest. I love you have your feelings wheel on your computer. You're always really good at that. Yeah. And then lastly, if everything flows from your heart, like, how are you being smart, and what time are you putting in, whether that's to the pilgrimage or to the formation, or like to just go for a walk or spend time with friends, or, how are you being intentional with time and money and resources to like actually help so that you can show up well? My friend, we went for a double date once, and before we were leaving, their kids came up and said, Mom, don't go. And she just got down and she said, you want Mom to be a good mom? And the child was like, yeah. She's like, well, Mommy needs some mommy time, but I promise you this, I'll return.
I will be back.
And I'm going to be so much more present tomorrow. Yeah. And it just like, and I just, there's something way of like playfully normalizing that I think is,
dude, it's brilliant.
Just little practices like that. So
yeah, I have something I came across this recently about, oftentimes ancient pilgrims would name crossings and gates and thresholds, right? They name them. And so I've been starting this practice of naming a couple thresholds. So like, for instance, there's two in particular. The threshold into my house. Yeah. And literally, this is pilgrimage for me. Yeah. As I grab my keys and I go out, I just name the crossing. Like I'm now stepping out into my ministry and into the world. Lord, help me be fully present in the next part of my day. And I name the crossing coming back. And when I come back into the house, I'm like, now I'm back into my sacred place. And this is my family, whom I love dearly, who deserve me to be present. For me, I'm not walking the Camino, but that is like straight pilgrimage, right? Where you're just like, I'm going to name this crossing. Yep. So that's one crossing. And the other one is my car. Actually, Pastor Doug and I were talking about this. Oftentimes when I pull into the parking lot of the church and I'm about to walk into the church, I open my car door. Sometimes it takes me a little bit longer. I just get myself prepped, especially on a Sunday, especially if I'm preaching. Yeah. And I think about, God, I'm now walking on the sacred ground. I'm walking out of my car. I'm about to handle your word. I carry my Bible. By the way, that's the thing that a lot of you may know or not know about Carter is dude's always got his Bible with him. And that I've always known you have your Bible with you. And so this last year, I'm like, man, I'm going to carry that thing with me as much as I possibly can. So it sits in the car seat with me. I grab it. And as I cross the threshold of my car, I'm like, Lord, I'm about to illuminate your light. Help me not to kill this alive word between the time I speak it and the people hear it, And then when I come back, I name that threshold and thing. And I mean, I know it's so simple, but for me, it has been this reorientation of pilgrimage. Like, hey, name the threshold, like these ancient pilgrims did, and pray a prayer through it. And that I
don't think that's simple at all. I think it's sacred.
Yeah.
I think it's it's taking those ordinary moments as holy and sacred. And I love it. Sacred. I think it's so beautiful.
Yeah. So, well, bro, what a wonderful insight, and super grateful for you. Thanks. And grateful for the listeners. Thanks for tuning in. Do you want to say goodbye to everybody this time?
Yeah, no, definitely. And Eric, thanks for making this happen. To our producer, Luke, you are such a gift. And to our listeners, thanks so much. Grace and peace.
So that's going to do it for today. If something landed for you in this conversation, don't just let it sit. Take it with you. Carry it into your week. Talk about it with somebody. Let it do something in you. And if you want to go deeper, click on the link in the show notes. We'll be back soon with more. So until then, keep following up.